As an occupational therapist here, I'm really looking at the posture, the seating. They're very important, and important to the fact that they can determine perhaps, or they can influence what response you're able to get from people, you know. So it's a key, crucial role, and you know, myself and the physios would play a huge part of that. And spasticity management, you know, another key area. So as the occupational therapist, fabricating a lot of splints, and you know, a lot of wrist and hand splints that were not like any splints I'd ever made before. You know, I'd worked in stroke rehab, I'd worked in other forms of neuro rehab, and you know, you just make a nice resting splint. It's not deviated, you've got a perfect resting position, and you know, the splints look tidy, and I found that really hard. I looked at some of the splints and I just thought, what do these look like? You know, they look chewed up at the edges, and they're different, but you're trying to, because I was working at the rehab stage of things, and depending on where the client had come from, where the patient had come from, you know, some may or may not have had specialist input at the acute stage. So maybe by the time some people came to us for the specialist rehab, spasticity was quite an entrenched problem. There were contractures. You had to make quite complicated splints, very unique splints that maybe don't look like any pattern you'd find in a book, but you were just splinting to maintain what was still there, and then with the hope of, you know, perhaps if someone had botulinum toxin, you'd maybe be doing serial splinting and looking to improve the range. So that's where I sort of felt my unique OT skills were coming into play with the client group.
Role. To break it down, one of the roles is looking at someone's posture, which I've touched on before, looking at spasticity and contractures, stopping them developing further if we already have got contractures in place. I want to say pain management, but I'm thinking about that in terms of throughout the day, how fatigued someone's coming. Are they comfortable where they are? And that might be physically being in pain or fatigue, but it might be the environment as well. If we've got someone sat out with music blowing 24 hours a day, actually that's perhaps not appropriate either. So we're looking at the whole person and the whole day in terms of how much stimulation they're getting from their environment, from other people, and a change of environment as well. If I've got someone who is in bed or in a wheelchair, doesn't mean that they can't go outside and feel the sun. The sun has just come in the room, they can't feel the sun on the skin. So it's thinking about their whole day and how they are interacting with their environment, or how the environment's interacting with them.